Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, March 11th, and this is virtual lunch number 517. Our guest today is Andy Edler, the head of corporate sales for Europe at Nuix, and this is part of our continuing series on the changing legal landscape with Nuix. Andy, great to see you. How are you?
I'm very well. Great to be participating and looking forward to the conversation.
Tell us about your background and your role at Nuix.
Okay, I started in retail financial services and went vendor side probably about 15 years ago. And I worked for Experian and did a number of really interesting projects at Experian, big international brand, as I'm sure you're all aware. And we're doing big change management programs as regulation had hit retail financial services hard, and organizations need to change their practices internally. And I've stayed vendor side ever since. I worked for a couple of organizations ostensibly around software, outsourcing, process transformation using software, and joined Nuix in September of last year. My role really is to take a domain that has been really important to Nuix and develop it. It really is as simple as that. It's to drive new sales. It's to manage our client base. We've got a great, illustrious client base. It's to really understand their evolving needs. It's to put robust account management in place. It's to make sure that customer success is at the forefront of what we do, lock in what we've got, and develop new opportunities with clients. That's what we do. The most notable challenge in doing that is understanding what is going on within the organization. That's a really easy thing to say, but it's a difficult thing to do. Look what Nuix does as a business. We provide a service to ostensibly a defined set of buyers, e-discovery. And they're small teams within fairly major organizations, but actually the impact of what they do transcends a lot within the organization. So my role is to understand what are the key drivers going on within these verticals, going on within the organizations, going on within the law firms, and look at things holistically. As an organization, a sales-driven organization like Nuix, we've got to put ourselves in the minds of the buyers. The selling and the buying dynamic has principally changed. It's changed because of circumstance. We've done sales over digital media where we might be able to build relationships before. So we've got to be really super smart about what our value proposition is, understand the real pain points of the business, and go to the heart of it. If we're too much of a generalist, if we're too much led by features and benefits of what we do, or we offer Me Too propositions, then we should expect to fail. That transcends multiple jurisdictions. It's very interesting times, both across law firms and across corporates, because they're looking to maintain shareholder value, maintain profitability, and the only way they're going to do that in difficult market conditions, macroeconomic factors being brought to bear, is to drive up cost and drive in automation. We play a big part in that. There's 2 points I want to make here. One, finding a purchaser is a hard thing to do. There is zero discretionary spend in the market. As a result of that, as a vendor, you've got to understand how your product is going to deliver return on investment in a time period that was not seen before the pandemic. People want return on investment straight away, and it drives how they buy. That is the first thing, okay? It's so difficult. The second thing to say is, and this is a little bit trite, but because it's existed for a while, but it's been magnified throughout the pandemic, buyers are better informed than they've ever been before. I mean, seriously well informed. So unless you are clearly presenting through sales interactions, digital brochureware, whatever that communication channel might be, it's got to be seriously value add. It's got to be talking to the buyer, the user, the everybody within the organization, because I'm going to loop back to the previous point, you're not going to get any money. So it's a real challenge from a sales perspective. You've got to be relevant all the time. And that might be an obvious thing to say, but refreshing content on a web page, brochureware, videos, online demos, whatever it might be, has got to be relevant all the time because there's no spend in the marketplace. It's part of that, understanding the business dynamic. I mean, look, it's an unfortunate consequence of the cost driver, but organizations will be shedding stuff. It doesn't matter whether 50% are coming back or not. Less people will be walking through the door because people are getting rid of stuff. Automation, technology, whatever you want to describe it as, is going to create attrition. Now, We need to develop these hybrid working models, getting from point A to point B whilst technology is truly adopted. So there is a cadence and true value is delivered. That drives an opportunity, but it's all part of understanding the driver. We're a humble software provider. If we just sell through brochureware, we have got no chance. The most important tool that any salesperson has is stuck on the side of their head. You have to listen. It's too easy in a target-driven, pressured sales environment where you've got to hit a number, you've got a commission you want to earn, or whatever it might be, to overlook some of the things that's being said to you. You've got to listen all of the time to what's being said. You've got to understand the culture and the buying community. No one single person is going to be responsible for purchasing. So therefore, you have to understand how this organization is going to buy. And there's endless sales practices that define this, but you need to know that more than anything else. From the listening, you've got to get to the heart of understanding the problem statement and playing it back to the client and said, what I've heard is this. The problems we can solve are this. This is the desired outcome from this. Am I absolutely clear? And you test and you learn. Sales, coming back to what you said before, requires tenacity and persistence and insight and guile. And sometimes you have to be a little bit robust and you might have to go around the side. The good salesperson takes those people on a journey with them. And a good salesperson understands somebody who just likes to drink coffee, have a chat, go for lunch, never really going to buy from you. I have probably argued against going around the side because people are going to get offended and feel disenfranchised and undervalued and then immediately put you offside. And I've advocated it. We can talk about sales pipeline analysis, things that are stuck. Have you really understood the buying process? We need to get to the economic buyer. We need to get to the emotional buyer and all these things. You've got to go around the outside. But if you've done your homework, if you've mapped out what you think the buying community looks like, which is now multifaceted and multidisciplined, you can navigate that a less brazen way. So when I look at the sales cycle, we have things that we call born in the quarter, right? A deal that came in on the 1st of March and within 3 months closed. Like many things in investigations and e-discovery, they're event driven, okay? I've got a client who says, listen, my desk's on fire. You're the guys with the right fire extinguisher. Can you help? Yep, fine. Bing, bang, bang, done. That's great. But Nuix, or frankly, any organization is not going to grow predictable revenue by relying on the phone ringing driven by events happening. Now, it will happen, but you're going to get a share of wallet at best. We've got a great brand in our space, but we shouldn't be complacent. What we've got to do is what I described before, is get on the front foot and start having these proactive conversations. In doing that, the organization needs to understand that I might originate an opportunity. I might put it into Salesforce on the 11th of March, but I don't expect to be getting the purchase order until the 11th of March, 2023, because these are preliminary conversations. I'm doing all the work before. If we start as an organization going, well, hang on a minute, the average sales cycle is only 3 months, and you've been talking to this organization for 9, get out, then we've failed. You need to look at things holistically. If you're too prescribed in your measurement of things, you miss the point. It's far more nuanced than that. The other word that I think is critical in sales management is trust. It's absolutely key. You've got to trust your people that they're doing what they think they need to do to be successful. This is true of all team dynamics and performance. You've got to trust people to do the right job. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to make the wrong call. You can crucify them if you like, but the whole group isn't going to learn from that. So that's my view. Fortunately, unfortunately, CRM tools, and let's call it Salesforce, it really does allow you to do micro analysis of these things, but it can lead you down some rabbit holes unless you're really careful.
Andy Edler, everybody. Well done. Thank you so much, Andy. That was really a lot of fun. Like a masterclass in sales we've had in the last couple of weeks.
Oh my God.
Thanks to Nuix for supporting this series on the changing legal landscape. And I hope everyone has a great weekend.